Welcome to the AFR Saints channel, where we provide you daily content on your favorite team, the New Orleans Saints. Do us a favor and hit that subscribe button. Be sure to leave your comments below and smash that like button. Who dat?
Saints going to try to get something we call two in a row. I haven't seen that in these parts for a minute. Mike Triplett, neworleans.football, good enough to spend a couple minutes with us as he does every single Thursday. Mike, we appreciate it, man. How are you?
They've kind of been winning in pairs this year, actually, now that you mention it.
Yeah.
Well, was it just twice? Two sets of two in a row this season?
Man, but Mike, isn't that the nature of a bad, or maybe I should say a mediocre football team? It's you win one, you lose two. You win two, you lose one. You lose three, you win two. I mean, that's the nature of this team. And when you're a bad team, you're inconsistent, and that's what this team is, right?
Yeah. No, I mean, and look, I think more than even the last couple years, we're not, inconsistent, yes, of course, but sort of inconsistent during the course of games. I think we've seen the same product pretty consistently all year long, where we're not even getting those, wow, they look like they could beat anybody on this day games. Their losses have been somewhat competitive, where they have those moments where they almost come back against the Lions, almost come back against the Vikings. But the wins haven't been that impressive. They just feel like they're stuck right where they are, and that's certainly, they're not even teasing us with the, well, boy, they look like world beaters sometimes.
Okay, so I guess here's the spin zone. You put up 207 yards of offense. Your quarterback has 37 passing yards 5 minutes into the fourth quarter. You snap hook a 29-yard field goal, but you win by 3 touchdowns. Right? They can overcome adversity and still win, right?
If they're facing Bryce Young every week. Yeah, that was a rough look for the Panthers. They've actually regressed since they beat him in week 2. So I think they need wholesale changes over there, but, maybe it'll happen quickly for them. But no, this was not one of the – I actually felt better about the Saints after the Lions lost than I felt about them after this win. Although I will say this: the defense had their moments in this game where they made the, I pointed out, we've seen games where they just never turn it on, and the last time the Panthers were in the Dome in Week 18 last year was one of those moments where the Panthers were terrible, but the Saints just never showed up, and they let Sam Darnold beat them with like 5 total completions. In this game, there were about 10 monster plays. I mean, the blocked punt, the interception, the Paulson Adebo chasing the guy down at the 1-yard line, followed by a goal line stand, the Jimmy Graham plays, Chris Olave touchdown. So, they hit enough peaks in this game, but as you said, the consistency certainly not in this game.
Jimmy Graham? Did you say Jimmy Graham? Jimmy Graham,
Twice.
Mike, I know sometimes, fans clamor for things, right? And there's narratives and talking points and stuff, and Jimmy Graham is one of them. But, my God, when you are this bad in the red zone, and then this guy that all you do when you throw him in the red zone is he scores touchdowns, where has he been? Let me ask you, a direct question. What did you make of Dennis Allen's explanation for why they have not been using Jimmy Graham more?
Yeah, I mean, my interpretation of it was, maybe that he let other people make that decision based on offensive personnel and offensive needs that are making the offensive decisions, and he's kind of reacting to it the same way. Yeah, it kind of makes you wonder why we aren't using it more, doesn't it? Oh. But look, I mean, we all talked about this afterward too. I mean, we kind of gave him the benefit of the doubt on that one. We figured look really slow running his routes. He must not be able to block at all. They must just figure we got nothing for him. But kind of looks unforgivable when he has 5 targets this year and 3 touchdowns. Obviously has his limitations. I mean, even when he was playing regularly with the Bears and other teams in recent years, it was amounting to 5 touchdowns and 220 yards. And I mean, that's what he is at this stage of his career. But yeah, give me the 2 catches a game if one of them's on third down and one of them's in the end zone.
And if the production you're getting from your other tight ends is nil, yes, give me that guy. Yeah. He's on Twitter at Mike Triplett, neworleans.football. Chats every Thursday, brought to you by Benny's. Okay, improbably, Mike, at 6-7, they're still just squarely in the mix for the playoffs here. So let's talk about the stakes this weekend with the 5-8 Giants coming in. When you look in totality with 4 games left, how would you rate the significance of this one when 2 of the 4 remaining are still division games?
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. We've been doing this for like 3 years now, where it's like, if you look at the math, if the Saints get a little healthier and they start playing their best football, all they got to do is win 3 out of 4 in December, and they win the division. My bigger concern with the Saints is what I said earlier in this call. It's I don't feel like they've made me wonder if there is any untapped potential, if there is a best version of this team yet to be seen. I care more about that than I care about can they get into the playoffs. It's like, is there a good team in here somewhere? Any chance they have a good month? Any chance they look good? Because obviously the schedule gives them every opportunity. They have 4 games left against 4 teams with losing records. And if they go 3-1, they probably win the division. But I think you have to be a much better team than what we've seen the last 4 games, 3 losses and the win over Carolina. To beat this Giants team at home, you definitely have to be a better team to win on the road against the Rams, who've been getting hot. And you definitely have to be a better team than we've seen to win at Tampa Bay in Week 17. So yeah, the opportunity is great, but the team needs to prove they're up to it, and they haven't shown us that yet.
What's interesting about the Giants, Mike, is actually nothing's interesting about the Giants, but maybe
no, they are pretty interesting.
Okay,
with Tommy DeVito, come on, man.
Old Tommy Cutlets there doing work, but so they average 14 a game. They're second to last in the end. They can't score points. But when you look at it, their sincere struggles have come against the better teams, right? They got shut out by Dallas once. They lost 49-17 to Dallas the second go-round. The Niners beat them 30-12. They scored 3 points against Seattle, right? They scored 9 against the Bills. So against better teams, obviously, they've gotten pounded. Where do the Saints fall on that sliding scale of how they may fare against the better teams?
Yeah. The Saints still show us glimpses of a good defense. I haven't liked what I've seen over the last month or so in general. There's still a really good pass defense, I should say, when it comes to like outside receivers, quarterbacks, lighting them up. They've really struggled against tight ends. I don't know if Darren Waller will be able to capitalize on that. But I do worry a lot about the Saints' run defense. I mean, if the Giants want to rely on Saquon Barkley and Tommy DeVito, who scrambled for 71 yards in this last game, if that's how the Giants want to do it, I don't know if this team can stop them from doing it. So, I mean, I still like to think of the Saints as having a pretty good defense and a team that averages 14 points, not being able to score 28 against the Saints defense and be who they are. But I also think this Giants team, Saquon Barkley finally got healthy. They finally found a quarterback who's sparking something in them. I think they're probably a little better than that right now.
He's on Twitter at Mike Triplett, neworleans.football. Chat's brought to you by Benny's Car Wash. Mike, one more specifically on the field.
Yeah.
Can the Saints score? I mean, they were anemic this last week against Carolina. Are we to believe maybe Rashid Shaheed coming back? Is Olave going to play? I would assume they get Taysom back. How much does that factor in to their ability to actually move the ball and score against the Giants?
Chris Olave misses practice both days with an ankle injury, right when I think he's looked the best he's looked all year. So that's not going to help. Taysom Hill's health plays a big role in it. I think they started figuring out what they could do with him recently. Can the Saints score? I think so, but not a lot more than 20. I mean, can the Saints win 20-17? Yes. Can they win 23-16 or, something like that? I'll be very surprised if all of a sudden this is a team that can score 30 and score 14 in the first quarter and play with the lead the whole game. It would be nice to see that, but I'll see it when I believe it. one thing I'd like to see the Saints do is they've shown glimpses of being able to run the ball pretty well even in the second half of their season. And I'd like them to give themselves an excuse to stick with that. I want to see running from the first quarter through the fourth quarter. Not the most exciting brand of football, but we've seen other teams do it against them. I'd like to see the Saints find an opponent they could do that against.
For what it's worth, the line in this game is 6. The total is 39.
I can't believe the line is 6. I can't believe it. I mean, yeah, I guess that 14.1 points per game average for the Giants carries a lot of weight, but I watched the Giants on Monday night, and I watched the Saints all year. I can't believe the Saints are 6-point favorites. I really can't.
With the total being 39.5, Mike Vegas is projecting a score around 23-17, which
that's all, I just said that.
Yeah, so that's why it sparked it whenever you said it. I mean, that's probably about what Vegas is looking at in this game, which is plausible. Here's one thing. What do you I'm big on spots, right? Like where it falls on the schedule, who you played the week before, where you play, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Short week for the Giants.
Yeah, I agree.
On the road. How much of a factor is that this week?
I agree. Whenever the Saints schedule comes out, I always look at Monday night on the road, short week, or Monday night, and then you got to travel on a short week, and that's never good. That's always an extra challenge for a team. The Saints are third straight week at home, so for all those reasons, and I think the Saints are a little healthier than they've been the last couple of weeks, except for the Olave injury. But guys like Cam Jordan, Taysom Hill, Rashid Shaheed, who have been dealing with things. I mean, I guess some of those intangibles set up nicely for them, but with this team, it's just all about, can they find that thing that's been missing all year? And I don't know that the opponent always matters, to be honest with you, except for it really did last week. I mean, Carolina, yikes. I mean, Carolina was not going to win that game no matter what the Saints did. I guess they needed that. But like I said, I'd rather see the Saints, not just pile up a couple of wins, but actually look like a playoff team. That's what we haven't seen.
All right, Mike. I think it's obvious to say Dennis Allen is coaching for his job. Maybe not.
Yeah.
If they lose out, he's gone. But I think that's fair, right? If they lose the month of the season, what does he have to do to be here next year?
I honestly, look, if they look great down the stretch, they're playing their best football. They just missed the playoffs because Atlanta holds the tiebreaker, and they both finished 9-8. I think maybe there's a scenario where they miss the playoffs and he keeps his job. But I think the formula is, I've been saying this for a while now, I think he keeps his job if they win the division and makes the playoffs. Even if it never looks better than this, I think making the playoffs will keep his job. They're looking for an excuse to keep him. They want it to work. But if they miss the playoffs, and 2 years in a row, they were the one team aggressively going all in to win the NFC South, and the NFC South has been terrible, and they couldn't pull it off 2 years in a row, combined with some of the things about, the team feeling a little more disenchanted with how things are going. I don't know how they could ignore that. I honestly think if you finish with a losing record this year, and they had health for about 3/4 of the season too. That wasn't an excuse as much as it was in previous years. I kind of think above 500 division, he keeps his job. Below 500, lose the division. I'd probably bet against it.
He is Mike Triplett on Twitter at Mike Triplett, neworleans.football. Chats every Thursday, brought to you by Benny's Car Wash. Mike, we appreciate it, man. Thanks as always. Merry Christmas, okay?
Yeah, same to you, and thanks for having me.
Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact, and be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.